urgently. They got this advice from Sage 3 weeks ago and failed to act. We have now seen from Sage, the minutes of that meeting, did start doing their own contact tracing at a local level because the Serco system was so shambolic. They again got their contact tracing levels up to above 90%.
She got herself into quite a difficult position where she appeared to be suggesting that it'd be fine if Floyd Mayweather and Usain Bolt.
Rachel Reeves' political career is hanging by a thread. Her latest proposal to tax military families has unleashed a torrent of public anger, leaving Labour scrambling for damage control. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. But there's a bigger story here. We'll show you how this controversy fits into a pattern of Labour policies that seem increasingly detached from reality. Is this the beginning of the end for Reeves and Labour's economic strategy? Rachel Reeves's journey from Labour's economic mastermind to political pariah is a cautionary tale of ambition and miscalculation.
We know that the model the government is using is not working.
If the government doesn't follow
those responsibilities to local authority.
Come on this programme as a shadow cabinet minister or a cabinet minister, you should expect to be asked about anything that's been in the news that has serious consequences for cross-sections of the community, shouldn't you?
That's not what I came on to speak about this morning, and the specific
hang on,
issue.
listen, you're a shadow cabinet minister. You don't just come on to talk about one thing.
Once hailed as the party's rising star, Reeves built her reputation on articulating economic policies that resonated with both Labour's base and the wider public. Her early proposals, aimed at addressing inequality and supporting working families, positioned her as a force to be reckoned with in British politics. But as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. The first cracks in Reeves's carefully constructed facade began to appear with a series of controversial policies that raised eyebrows across the political spectrum. It wasn't just a single misstep, but a pattern of tone-deaf economic proposals that seemed increasingly disconnected from the realities faced by ordinary Britons. Political analysts have noted a marked shift in public perception of Reeves. The woman once seen as Labour's answer to economic woes is now viewed with growing skepticism. Her judgment and priorities are being questioned, with many wondering if she's lost touch with the values traditionally upheld by the Labour Party. It's a stark reminder of how quickly political fortunes can change in the court of public opinion. The controversial military tax proposal has become the tipping point in Reeves's fall from grace. It's not just the proposal itself that's causing outrage, but what it represents. A fundamental misunderstanding of the sacrifices made by military families. This disconnect has left many wondering, how could someone once so in tune with public sentiment get it so wrong? Labour leader Keir Starmer's continued support for Reeves is being described as a gamble. As public anger over the military tax proposal grows, Starmer finds himself in the unenviable position of defending a policy that's becoming increasingly toxic. The question on everyone's lips is whether this alignment with such an unpopular proposal could further damage both their reputations. But it's not just the military tax that's causing concern. There's a growing perception of inconsistency in Reeves' economic policies, particularly regarding her approach to taxation. Critics argue that her proposals unfairly burden those who contribute to the UK's stability while offering little accountability for other sectors. It's a criticism that strikes at the heart of Labour's traditional support base. The ripple effects of Reeves' decisions are being felt beyond the political sphere. Major companies are announcing job cuts, which critics attribute to the chaotic approach to economic policy. It's a stark reminder that political decisions have real-world consequences, affecting the livelihoods of ordinary people. The fallout from Rachel Reeves's military inheritance tax proposal has morphed into a full-blown crisis for Labour. As the echoes of angry callers still reverberate from that fateful radio show, we're left wondering, how did Labour's economic mastermind become so disconnected from the very people she claims to represent? Picture this: Reeves, once the darling of Labour's economic strategy, now finds herself in the hot seat of a live radio show. The tension is palpable as the first caller unleashes a torrent of criticism. The pain they are going through is just immense. They need this money more than anything, one emotional caller explains, laying bare the human cost of Reeves' proposal. It's a moment that encapsulates the growing chasm between Labour's policies and public sentiment. As caller after caller voices their outrage, Reeves attempts to defend her position. She argues that economic growth is the key to reducing poverty and inequality. But her words fall flat, met with skepticism and anger from an audience that feels betrayed. It's as if Reeves is speaking a different language, one that's lost its translation in the world of real people facing real struggles. The radio show becomes a microcosm of wider public sentiment, a pressure cooker where frustrations boil over. Callers question Reeves's empathy, her priorities, and most damning of all, her understanding of the sacrifices made by military families. Where's the gratitude, they demand, their voices tinged with disbelief and disappointment. As the show progresses, it becomes clear that this is more than just a disagreement over policy. It's a fundamental rift between Labour's economic vision and the values of those they claim to champion. Reeves's attempts to steer the conversation back to economic growth only serve to highlight this disconnect. It's as if she's trying to put out a fire with gasoline, each explanation only fueling the anger. Political analysts watching the carnage unfold predict dire consequences for Reeves' public image. Her popularity, already on shaky ground, seems poised for a nosedive. But the implications stretch far beyond one politician's career. This radio show debacle has become a litmus test for Labour's entire economic strategy. As the dust settles, calls for a reassessment of the tax proposal grow louder. Commentators urge the government to protect, not penalise, military families. But the damage may already be done. The radio show has exposed a raw nerve in British politics, one that won't be easily soothed by policy tweaks or PR spin. As the dust settles on Rachel Reeves's disastrous radio appearance, the long-term consequences for Labour's economic strategy are becoming painfully clear. The party's credibility has taken a severe hit, with voters questioning whether Labour truly understands the needs of ordinary people. Reeves's fall from grace serves as a stark reminder that in politics, perception is everything. The public's angry response to her military inheritance tax proposal has exposed a deep disconnect between Labour's policies and the values of those they claim to represent. This debacle raises a crucial question. How can political leaders regain trust once it's been shattered? The power of public opinion has been on full display, reminding us that in a democracy, the voice of the people can make or break political careers. As we reflect on this tumultuous episode, one thing is certain: politicians ignore the public at their peril.